Welcome to SafeSoft Solutions MarketDialer Administration Portal Demonstration FormMaker. In this video we will be discussing FormMaker. Now, you've logged in as the administrator, and if you've been with me in previous segments of the administrator portal demonstrations, you know when you log in you land here at the Users tab. In this discussion we'll be talking about FormMaker, which is part of your lists. Now, it's part of your list because this is the form that you use during the upload process or load new leads process. If you remember, if you've been with us, what I'm talking about, what we're going to do is create a form. And here is the forms that already exist in your account. As an example, we have the default forms, which is the ones located here. Now, the main part you cannot alter, but these other parts, this contact information section, can be modified. Same for contact information, contact to, so on and so forth. The company information, and in this case the notes group, can be modified as part of the form, and another contact information, and with all these fields can be modified, even deleted. So let's go to the FormMaker and we'll show you that. Now you simply click here, FormMaker, and let me just get this to fit to the screen for you so you can see it. There you go. So now here we are in FormMaker, and if you were with me in previous segments, we discussed about what happens when you're in FormMaker and how you can make fields searchable for the administrator and for the agent when the agent uses their CRM tool. Now, in this situation, I mentioned we had two forms. The default one, or what's called the main, and it will be called the main form. As you see, we have the link here. When you click there, it takes you back here. This is the main form that I mentioned. The contact information, contact 1 and contact 2. As you see, as you click on them, they change colors and their layout changes. Contact 1 layout has a comment section, and contact 2 does not. Here is on the right hand side the company information, and below that note section that we mentioned. Now, the second form that I mentioned as we scroll down was this solar panel one. Now, if I want to look at that, I'll select it and click edit, and as you see, now we're on the solar panel form that we made. Now, what we're going to demonstrate here is adding a new form. All right, we're going to create a new form. We're going to create some groups in this form. We're going to put some tables and fields in this form. And then at the end, part of it we're going to show you how to make fields searchable, as is seen here. You can make these fields searchable to the agent in the CRM tool that the agent has in the agent portal, or you can make it searchable through the search for a lead, as is seen here. Now, some of these we've already taken and made fields searchable. So let's go ahead and show you how you can remove those or add those. Let's remove some of these in this situation that you see here now. We're just going to remove it, and you'll see that what happens is, well, once you take the field and say no longer make the field searchable, the field disappears. So some of those fields that were in here, let's see, I saw main telephone. Let's see if it comes from this section, and it does. How do I know that? Is because it says make this field searchable. So if I tell it not to make it searchable any longer and save my changes, now once I go back here and search for a lead, you'll see that that main phone number, you see, if you recall, was gone. Let me show you again. Let's focus on this one as an example. Last 4 Social Security number. So somewhere in my FormMaker is this field that's been made searchable, excuse me there. So I'll just click back there and go to FormMaker. And because FormMaker is so large, it needs to fill the screen, and when we're going back it's small. And in Firefox you can just use Control and plus or minus to make the screen bigger or smaller, and if you do 0 it'll take it back to the default setting. So just a little extra stuff for you there. So I know that I was looking for last 4 SS, and I don't see anything on the contact 1 or contact 2. I don't see anything in the company or anywhere else in this main form, so it must be in this other form. So I'm going to select that form and then edit the form. and I'm looking for, here it is, last four Social Security. So I click on the E for the edit button, and it takes me inside, and there it is. It tells me that that field has been made searchable in the CRM tool for the agent and the search for a lead tool for the administrator. So I'm just going to say no, I don't want to make it searchable anymore, and I'm going to save my changes. And as you see, if I go back to search for a lead, that Social Security one, the last four Social Security, is gone. So let's take out pool and company website and debts. And you'll see as we remove these searchable fields, it shrinks down to what we tell it to be. So back to FormMaker. And let's go in here, and I believe the pool and stuff like that comes from that solar panel form. It's because they wanted to know if the homeowner had a pool, because then, well, under the additional information tab, I remember it being there. Do you have a pool? Because solar panels can help heat your pool. But hey, let's edit the field and make this field no longer searchable. Click our save. Save our changes. Apologize for my mistake there. Go back to the search for a lead, and now you see that the pool is gone. So let's remove debts and company website and company name. Let's remove some of these and get it down to what you would typically see as your default ones before any customization has taken place. So let's go ahead and go back into the form. We'll pick our form again and click edit. And you see, by doing this a few times, you get the hang of it. And let's see, I don't have company information on here, don't have company information on there, so it must be in the main. So I'm going to go over here, and I have this company name here under the company information tab, and I'm going to click the E to edit it, and this will tell me that that field was made searchable. That's why I can see it. So I'm going to say no, no longer make it searchable, save my changes. The other one I believe was in solar panel. Let's just edit that one, which was debts, and I believe that's under this. Let's see, maybe it was under primary. Oh, there it is, debts. So we edit that field and we make it not searchable, save our changes. So let's go back to search for a lead, and you see debts is gone, company name or company information was taken out. Let's take out company website, one more, and pretty much after that you'll see your default dispositions, which will be like, or excuse me, your default search criteria. We are talking about search for a lead right now, and how to make that searchable or not through the FormMaker. So company website is here. Click the E. It is searchable. We'll make it not searchable and save our changes. Now once we go back to search for a lead, you see that that company website has disappeared, and we have our default, which is close to the default, our first name, last name, home phone, address, contact name, lead ID, and phone number. Now if you're searching for a prospect by their phone number or lead ID, obviously that's why we have some of these default search criteria here for you. So we can take out contact name if we want, and leave it pretty much, let's see where that comes from, which comes under this section also. So once we remove that, we'll be back to the default default search criterias for both the administrator and for the agent using the CRM tool. So here we are back to the defaults. So let's go over to FormMaker again, and we are now going to make a form. We're going to create a new form, and let's just call it the add and delete form, because what we're really going to do here is we're going to add a form just for the demonstration. We're going to add groups, we're going to add tables, and we're going to add field names, and at the very end we're going to delete everything. So we're going to create our form. We're going to get a little notice that says that the form has been created. And now you see in our drop down we have the main, the solar panel, and the one we just made. So we're going to pick that one, and we're going to say let's edit this form. And you see, this is what happens on a new form. There's no form yet made. Now all you need to do is first create a group, and you're going to position the group either to the left or the right. So let's just make this the left group as an example, and we're going to add the group. And there it is. Now under the left group we're going to create a table, and we're just going to call it the left table, right? And we're going to put it in the left group, and we're going to add this table now. So now we have the group title, and a table, and we're going to add a field into this left group table. So let's just call it the left field, right? And spelling does count. So let's make it the left field. And we're going to add it, you see, and where are we going to add it to? We're going to add it to this left group called the left table. Remember, if you do it in order, you make a form, you make a group, you make a table, you make a field, you just go right down, you add the form, you add the group, you add the table, you add a field. Now the field type that we're going to be adding in this situation, we're going to go through them all. So let's go ahead and do a checkbox. And let's just call this, so I keep it clear, field 1. And in field 1 is going to be a text box. So I'm going to add the field. Okay, and as you see, it's now adding this, and as this says here at the top, this could take time to do this, because what we're doing is modifying your entire account. And in certain situations, you will log in or attempt to log into FormMaker here, and there'll be a different notice that says you have agents logged in and you cannot modify the form until you've gone ahead and had all agents log out. Why? Because you're modifying the form that they see. What they have in front of them, they can change it. So you see, now it's added that field that we did here. Remember, we created a group first, then we created the table, and we told the table where we wanted it to live, that type of a thing, and then we added the field, we named the field, and we told it to be a text box. So let's just do another one. We're going to do the left field, we're going to make it number 2, and we're going to keep it in the same group, which is the left, and then this time we're going to say make it a checkbox, and we're going to add that field. Now again, it's going to take a few minutes to do this, and during this time you'll have to be patient and wait, just like as in this demonstration. We have to add these one at a time, let the system make it touch all the places it needs to make these changes, and that could take a few minutes to do. So you need to be patient when building a form, but once you've built your form, and that's why we recommend that you do this not during business hours, that you do it after your agents have all logged off and gone home for the day. So now here we have that example. Remember, the first one we said make it a text box, meaning we can enter the text and collect some information. That's what the text box is. The other one that we picked, which was the next one, was a checkbox, meaning we can put a check in the box. So you might be talking to a prospect, and this could be something else, and you can say, well, let me edit this. I'm not sure I like the way it's the label I've given it or the name I've given it. You can always delete the field or change it. And as you remember, we said how you can make it searchable. You could say make it searchable too. Also, if you're going to map these fields out, you'll have to make sure that the lead first name or last name is selected depending on that, but that's for later discussion. So let's go back. Let's go to our add, delete, and edit our form, get back to just this form, and let's go through one all the way through. So we're going to do now an option box. So it's going to be left again. Just going to add this. We're going to make this field number 3. And field number 3 is going to go in that left group, left table. And now we're going to make it an option box and click add that field. So it's doing its thing. It's now going to add this third field down in our left group. You'll see down here. And if you wanted to, again, you could always make those, click the E, the big E here, to edit this field, and then you can make it searchable if you like. So what we're doing here is just waiting now, and again I remind you about how it can take a little bit of time to do this. So be patient, stick with us during this demonstration, and once we add these fields to the left, as you see now, you have your choice. It's already finished. It's a radio button, right? And that was an option box. So let's do our next one here, and we're just going to do number 4, and we're going to go down and pick the drop down menu and add that field now. And again, let me just caution you here, some of these fields obviously you're not going to want to make searchable, because you're not going to be able to check for a search in a box or a bubble in your field there, right, when you're using the agent CRM or the search for a lead in the admin. keep that in mind when you're making Field Searchable. So now it's adding this this left field number 4 that we've just created using a drop-down menu. And when you're in this drop-down menu, you see that now you can click the E as an example, and because it knows where it is, well, you can also move it if you wanted to. As you see there, you could move this field around. Let's go back and edit that field. You could actually click the E to edit it. And we give you some other choices. Again, remember, you can make it searchable. You could rename it. You could delete the field. You could relocate the field. Or as an example, since this is going to be a drop down, you're going to want to give it some choices in the drop down. So how about option 1? And then we're going to add that as an option in the drop down. And you can continue to add to this as many as you think you need. But again, each time you click to add a field, it's going to take a few minutes. So bear with us through this demonstration as we go through this. It's going to take just a minute or two, and now you see there it's finished, and there's the option that I added. So if I wanted to do it, more options, I just click the big E, the edit button on there. And now my next one, as you see, option 1, I can delete that or edit that. If I thought I needed to change it or do something, I could click on it and make any modifications to it as I thought might be needed. And as you can see, when I edit, I'm touching every part of my account. So that's why it's taking so long to make sure that it's going to pull up and give me the information in all campaigns. So let's go ahead and edit that again. Let's just do another one. So my next option is going to be, well, option 2 as an example. And then I'll add that selection, and now in my drop down I'll have option 1 and option 2, and I can go on and on and on. As an example, I might word it differently as when I speak to my prospects and when I'm collecting information from them or asking about something that they have not provided to us that we actually collect. Now there's my second choice, and I can keep going on and going on by clicking the E button, adding another option in my drop down, as many as I think is needed, adding selection, and it's just going to keep going on and on and on in this case. So once this one's done, I think you got the hang of how to add choices to your drop down if that's what you've selected. So we're going to go back and we're going to do one more on the left hand side, I believe it was, of the choices that we have. And we have the multi-line text box. So we're going to add the next one here in this field, left number 5, I think it's going to be. So left field, and we'll call that number 5. And number 5, we're just going to tell it to be a multi-line text box. We're going to add that field, and now it's going to add this multi-line text box. In other words, the first one we picked was just one line. Now the next one's going to be multiple lines. And once it's added, we'll be able to click on the E, and then the E will give us an option of how big we want to kind of make this box. And you see, by default, it makes it this size. If you want to make it a little bigger, you can. You could tell it by width and by rows what you want it to be. So I'm going to increase the size a little bit, and I'm going to tell it to be 6 rows, and then I'm going to, it gives you kind of an example down here, and I'm going to save my changes. And boom, you see now it's changed. See how the dimensions have changed? I can change that all around. I can make it back to the 10% and click Save Changes, and you see how it gets the dimensions change on the screen there. I can make it 100%, save my changes, and now I have 100% size. So you can really customize this as much as you want. So let's go on and add another field. We're going to add, or excuse me, another group, and we're going to call this the right group. Remember, we can put it on either the right hand side or the left hand side. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to make a right group. And of course, we want to put it on the right hand side because we want to be able to have the agent portal laid out nicely for them. So we're going to add that group, and as you see now, we've added the group, and you see how the screen has changed. So we've added that group title, which is the right group title, and now we're going to add tables in the right So we'll just do like we did before in the other example. We'll just keep it so that you understand it. And we're going to tell it to live on the right group, right? See that? Now we're going to add this table to that group, and there it is. Now, we need to add some fields into this table. So let's go ahead and add some fields into this table. And these are going to be the right fields, as we mentioned before. So we'll do the same pattern as we did right field 1. We're going to tell it to live in the right field, and we're going to just go down the menu here and add each one of those, just like we did before. Alright, again, it's going to take time to go ahead and touch your entire account to make these changes, even though there's no one logged in, because remember again that you can't modify the FormMaker when you have agents logged in, because it is the form that they are actually looking at in the agent portal. So you will get a notice if you go here, click FormMaker, then you have agents logged in. It will tell you something different than you see here now, and it will tell you you have X amount of agents logged in, and in order to proceed you must have them log out. It is just what it is. So there it is. There's our first field, and again, remember, we can click on the E to edit it, make it searchable, rename it if we need to, or even move it as an example. So we click back to the main, go back to our add, delete, and edit that form, because that's the one we're working on. So one more table. We're going to do just like we did before. We're going to tell it to live in the right group, and we're going to pick a checkbox and click add that field. Pretty much, you see, it's pretty easy to do to make a form. You just simply go down, you create your form and add your form by giving it a name, so on and so forth. Then you create a group, then you create a table, then you create a field. It's pretty simple, and you can make the fields searchable, as I said, to your agent and to your admin or the admin through the search for a lead feature. Now, when I keep saying about the CRM tool in the agent portal, each of these fields, as I mentioned before, that we make searchable by saying edit and make searchable, if I save that changes, that means the agent through their CRM tool will be able to use that as a search criteria as well. So back to our creating our form here, we're going to do right field number 3, and we're going to demonstrate the option box. Now we're going to add that field, and just like we did before, you can put these in any order, any design, any way you want, but I'm just showing you going down through each option how it might look. So it's adding this one that we've just created, right field 3, and as I notice, I made a mistake, and maybe you caught it too. I did not pick the table I wanted to live in. So when this one finishes, as soon as it's done, it's going to pop in over here to the left. And this is a good example of how we can just edit it and shift it to the right. So once it's done, we're going to click the E, and see how it's over there as I mentioned? Not a problem. We just click the E and tell it to move to the right hand side. The right hand side of the right group and the right tables, just like we told it to. And click our move field, and it moved it over. Right field 3, it just shifted it right on over, not a problem. So let's do right field 4, and we'll do the same thing. We can tell it to live on certain sides. We don't want to go through that process again, and we pick the option box, and now we're going to do the drop down menu. If you remember, we're going to click add field again, and the drop down menu I showed you here before, where we actually went back, clicked the E for edit, and then we added our drop down choices or options, as it's seen in this case. So we can do the same thing there real quickly. I'll show you one or two just so you can get a refresher. But basically, you're going to see that adding forms to your account is very easy, and you can have multiple forms for your agents to click on, and when the administrator loads new leads, he can pick which form he will map the data out to, and then the agents will simply click on those buttons or those tabs when they are logged in. So here's field 4, which is a drop down, and we have no choices. How do we get choices? Not a problem. We just click the E and we tell it we're going to create option 1. We're going to add that as a selection to the drop down. And we click add selection. It's going through the process of adding this now. It does take time to do this, as you see, but once you get the hang of it, you can speed through making a new form or modifying your forms very, very easily. And in certain situations, based on the main form that we give you, the default form, it pretty much has all the fields which you can either remove or add to. And I'll show you that. So now you see there's the option 1. If we wanted to do option 2, just like we did before, we click the edit there. We can stick it in here as we did before. We just click add selection, and now you have another drop down choice in there. It's pretty simple to do, so we'll move on to the next one after that, which is the multi-line text box, and then we'll have a group, a table, and fields on the left, and we'll have a group and tables and fields on the right. And you'll see that pretty much it's real simple once you get the hang of it. So write field 5, since we had 3 on the left, let's make 5 on the right. Excuse me, since we had 5 on the left, let's make 5 on the right. And in this, we're going to do the multi-line text box, and we're going to add it, and it's pretty much going to look the same as the left. So these are just examples. You can order them any way you want, place them anywhere you think best suits your needs. So we kept it simple by telling you the group, the table, and the field. And as long as you remember, as you go down, when you create a group, then you must create a table, then you must create fields in this table. So here we have the 5th one, and it's the multi-line text box. We want to make it bigger or smaller, we just simply click on it. We tell it to be 100% and how many rows. Let's go 10 rows and save our changes. And you'll see how it is a different size than the other one, because we told it to be 100% of the width and to go 10 rows deep. Alright, now we can do some other things. You can tell groups to do certain things left and right, as I told you. Put another group if you wanted to here of, you could say the notes. I want a section where my agents might speak to a lot of prospects for a long period, and they're going to collect a lot of notes. So we add the notes section. It's pretty simple. Then we want to have a table in this notes, so we have to add that to the right hand side, or see, to the group, add the table. It's pretty simple. Now we have the group, the table, and we add a field name, and we can say comments. And in this comment section, I tell it to where I want it to live, which is in the notes section. And remember, it's a comment box, so I want it to be a big comment box, or as much as I can get. Multi-line text box, as in this example. So I can create groups on the left hand side, I can create groups on the right hand side, and I can make another one here on the left hand side if I want. And I can design this form how I think it should be laid out for the agents to be presented with. So here's my comment section, or I said notes. I want to edit this because I want to make the width 100%, and I want as many rows as I can get, and I'm going to save my changes, and there it is. Now, why is this all so important? Well, as I mentioned to you, it plays 2 roles. When the administrator is loading new leads, let's go there now. And you will now see, here is the default one, or the main that I mentioned. This is the one that's always here. Now, you cannot change the main pane. You can change the contact, or in this situation, group called contact information, and table contact 1. You can change this. You can change the company information. You can change this other group called notes, and other forms that live in here. And I'll show you. Remember, we talked about how we made searchable Social Security, or any of these fields we can make searchable. So this is the main is up here, and this main contact information 1 and 2. And this is another form here that was added to this account. And this is another form that we just did. As you see, we added this left group and this right group and the notes group. So here's the form we made right here. And if we had named these as an example, first name, last names, whatever the criteria might have been, when we do the load new leads process as we're in here, right, and if we wanted to map our data, our prospect data, we would map it into these fields. Why is that important? Well, let's show you. When you log in as an agent, you get your choice. Excuse me. When you log in, the agent will now have choices, I should say, of a certain criteria that they can flip over to, and I'll just start a phone up so I can log in it as an agent here for you, and you'll see what's going to happen with a form that the agent can now pick from. So let me just go ahead and get logged in as an agent, and we're going to pick I believe it's this campaign, and that should be good enough. That'll get us inside. And you will see that when we use the CRM on the agent side that I've been talking about, here's their search criteria. Now I could go back to the FormMaker after having logged out here and make some more fields searchable for the agent. But what I wanted to show you is when you're on a call and now you see you have your choice of the main form, the solar panel form as you see here, or the one we just did, the add and delete. So that's what we're talking about when we're saying how you can modify or add forms or even delete a form in this situation. So we could delete solar panels and we can delete this one, which we will do in just a few minutes. We're going to delete this form. We don't have a long-term need for it, and it was really designed just to demonstrate to you how you could create a form through FormMaker and tailor it for your needs and for your agents to use. So in a certain situation, I know on this example here that we mapped out information for here because, well, we also mapped it out in the main section, but as we talked to the prospects, we were pitching about solar panels, and we wanted to know some things. If you remember, I wanted to know if they had a pool. Yes, they did. And I can just simply save that information. Then if I wanted to go back and search for that, all people who had a pool, well, we could do that. We're going to close our lead, and we're going to log out, because remember, we cannot modify the FormMaker until all agents have been logged out. And let me show you that. So I'm going to stay logged in. I'm going to flip back over to the FormMaker. And you'll see that it will give you a notice that if you try to modify a FormMaker while someone's logged in, it's going to give you have a total agents currently logged in 1, and you must have them log out in order to make changes to the FormMaker. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have this agent log out, and now we'll be able to go back to FormMaker, and as you see, we can modify it. So let me go in, and we're going to say solar panels, and we're going to edit that solar panels, as you remember, and we're under the additional info, and we want to make pool searchable to the agent and the administrator. So we just say make this field searchable, save our changes. Now it's pretty simple. The admin can now search by pools, and if it's a yes or a no, so we know we had at least one yes, we'll go ahead and pull that up. But see, we didn't have a lead populated. We just used the field and put it in there. We didn't have a lead up, so that's why it didn't show up. But let's go ahead and show you how that might look if we actually had some prospect information up. So we land inside. We can pull up a record here. We can go back to our session history, and I can click over to this lead, and I can say here and change it to here and add this in there, and this should work once I click save changes and then close the lead. And I have to wait till it's done, and then I'll click on my CRM. Going to my CRM, I have pools, and I say yes, and I click search, and there's the prospect that we filled in that criteria. We filled in the pool field with a yes, and now I can search it, and there it is. Same thing administrator should now be able to do. The administrator can go back in here and say pool yes, click submit. Since I modified a lead ID record, there it is. Pretty sweet, huh? So let's go back over, and you can see that we need to log out to be in FormMaker. So we're going to do that because we're going to go back to FormMaker, and we're going to just do what we did. We're going to finish up on FormMaker by giving you a reminder that if you want to edit your form, you just simply pick your form, click Edit Form. It's going to send you into that form. You can make Field Searchable by saying yes or no. Once you do this, it has a double effect. It's going to be both visible on the agent CRM and the admin search for lead fields. So there's the one I just added in there. We added pool and we added square footage. So whatever I want to search by, I can go ahead and do that by just making the field searchable, and it has a double effect, so keep that in mind. So if I wanted to go back here, and in this example, well, I'm pretty much done with add and delete, and I'm going to select it and say I'm done with this form. I don't need it anymore. It is telling me that in order to do that, I must please delete all groups first. So why is it telling me to do that? Well, we have to back out the same way we came in. Remember, first we created a form, and then we created groups and tables and fields. So if I tell it to delete this group, it's going to tell me, am I sure? And as it goes through, it's going to start stripping the groups away, taking the fields that are in the group away. They're no longer needed. We're going to get rid of all this information by slowly backing our way out of this in a nice, clean and orderly fashion, because remember that we're modifying your entire account, and we want to do this as cleanly and neatly as possible without causing any problems. So we're going to delete that group one at a time. We're going to go through and delete these groups, and then we'll be able to delete this form, and it will be like we never had it to begin with. You'll never know the difference, and I'll show you that as soon as we get to the last group and then delete the form, and you'll see that when we log back in as an agent, that it will no longer be there. So last group that we created, this is the left hand group that we created. We got rid of the notes group on the right hand side, we got rid of the right group on the right side, and now we're doing the left group on the left side. And then once that's done, we'll be able to delete the entire form, because as you see, we're back to where we started from. We're going to delete this form, and it's gone. It's pretty quick. No more add and delete form to be selected from. We click on the main, takes us back to the main one, and as you see, we can still make field searchable by going through the FormMaker, as I said. So let's see how it looks on the agent side once we get back in, and we'll log back in quickly. And you'll see that, let's go ahead and answer the phone real quickly. You'll bring up a prospect lead, and now the add delete form is gone. We still have our other forms if we want to keep them and modify them or delete them, whatever the case may be. So that concludes FormMaker. Thank you for attending. It's one of our most feature rich tools that we have to help you be more searchable type of fields on the agent CRM side and the admin search for a lead side. Thank you. This concludes FormMaker.